We have quite a bit of good news for Tesla and Tesla's stock actually, because look at these new batteries that Tesla is going to be using in Europe compared to the previous batteries that Tesla used. Let's go through all of the Tesla stock news and we'll come back to this story about batteries as well. There was this story from a while ago that a Tesla Model 3 totaled after suddenly accelerating into BC Ferry's ramp in Vancouver. And you know what the driver blamed this on? The car accelerating supposedly on its own. But Drive Tesla Canada is now reporting that the driver pressed on the accelerator pedal instead of the brake pedal. I live in Vancouver and it's a good thing that they have these fences made from steel, because otherwise this car would have ended up in water probably. And so far, literally every single story like this, and there have been quite a few, especially in China, has proven that it has always been the driver's fault, the driver mixing up the pedals, the accelerator pedal with the brake pedal. Next, Twitter's biggest ad buyer no longer considers Twitter high risk, says report. All of this is, of course, because of a new CEO, and it seems that Twitter is going to be in a better place, which means that Elon will be a lot less likely to sell more Teslas. Like if he does, it won't be to finance Twitter further, probably. And now let's get into this story from Tesla Mag that shows some promising results from the new batteries that Tesla is using in Europe. The rear-wheel drive Model Y that is made in Germany will have both the front and the rear gigacastings, which is great, and also a structural battery pack. So you know the cost of that vehicle are going to be lower. The battery that is used is from BYD, and there was a lot of talk about how effective is that battery going to be compared to the CATL batteries that Tesla used before. The initial tests look pretty promising. Now, this is not an official test from an independent company or anything like that, so there could be some flaws in the data, but I think it looks pretty legit. What's interesting is that this new battery, according to Tesla Mag, is approximately the same in size, and the range is identical compared to the model before. However, looking at these screenshots from community members here in Germany, we can see that the new battery is 60 kilowatt hours and the old battery was 62 kilowatt hours, but yet the range is supposedly exactly the same. You're getting more range, or the same amount of range with a smaller battery, which makes your costs lower, of course. Not by much, because 2 kilowatt hours, that's not that much, but still every little bit helps. The new batteries that we will be using in Tesla Model Y rear-wheel drive, the charging speed stays pretty consistent up until about 50%, and only after that, the speed starts dropping. So you are supposed to be able to charge this new vehicle quite a bit faster based on this data. If you're charging your battery from roughly 0% to about 66%, with a new battery, you can do that in about, in yellow, 15 minutes. And with the CATL battery, the old one, it will take you about maybe 19 or 20 minutes roughly. For me, really, only the time after the first 15 minutes or so starts to become annoying when I'm charging, because the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes, I go to the washroom, I stretch out, and then I come back to my car, and it's been about 10 to 15 minutes. I check my phone, and within about 15 minutes, I'm ready to go, but the car is not. Unless I'm eating, then it doesn't really matter. While this is not a huge improvement, it is certainly a nice and welcome improvement. And specifically, we are comparing a Giga Shanghai made Model Y rear-wheel drive to a Giga Berlin made rear-wheel drive Model Y. Giga Shanghai is not going to stop making these Model Ys, but Giga Berlin is ramping, and it appears that this new one is going to be better than the one made in Shanghai. There's this article on Reuters that says Elon Musk's embrace of advertising at Tesla grabs marketers' attention. Well, you just wait until Tesla actually starts to advertise. I wonder how much money will Tesla spend on advertising. Ford and GM globally spent about $6 billion put together. For GM, that means that they spent $678 per vehicle. Oh, looks like this could be interesting. You gotta own Tesla stock in your portfolio, with Elon refocused on Tesla, says a big investor of a company. After uncertainty in recent months, his firm has resumed buying again. I'm curious, who is this big investor? Let's take a look. Oh, it's Ross Gerber. His firm actually does own quite a bit of Tesla stock, 74 million based on the current share price. But I didn't know about all of these details. Check this out. Over the first quarter, I was a net seller. I went from 440,000 shares to 420,000 shares, but now I'm back to a buy, he added. I went from a hold and somewhat bearish to a buy and somewhat bullish. The only thing keeping me from outright bullishness is the broader economy. Here's the part I didn't really know. We knew that Ross sold 30% of his Tesla stock position in his ETF, but his ETF is fairly small. It only has about $16 million under management in total. But of course, his whole firm has over $1 billion in assets in total under management. But I think if you really want to know what Ross is really thinking, truly thinking, you look at his ETF. He sold about 30% of his position on April 24th in his ETF, and then he bought back some of it just now, but at a higher price. But it appears that only in his ETF he made that big move to sell quite a bit of Tesla stock. These shares were not really touched here, so knowing this, that mistake turned out to be not as big as it previously appeared to be. And check this out, you will love this. Gary Black says, with Elon vowing no more Tesla stock sales until 2024, and by then Twitter should be cash flow positive, and Linda about to come on board as Twitter CEO, it does seem like Twitter overhang has, he said it, lifted. This time, maybe actually for real. Ross says, the market likes the new focused on Tesla Elon and the potential of advertising to grow the business. I remember in one of the interviews, I think Ross said, this was when Tesla stock was about $100, that if Tesla started to advertise, Tesla stock would go back to $200 and then $300 quickly. Well, we did go back to over $200 for a moment, and with advertising, according to Ross, we should be back to $300. He said that a few months ago, not recently. But that's probably what he is still thinking. I'm not sure though. And this is actually really good news, and no, I'm not talking about a Cybertruck, although the headline says Tesla Cybertruck is finally coming. It's going to radically rivals and transform the EV market as we know it. Why is this good news? Because this is on Business Insider. It is the same media outlet that said last year a sexual misconduct claim against Elon Musk involved him offering to buy a SpaceX flight attendant a horse in exchange for an erotic massage. Isn't it interesting that just when Tesla decides to advertise, all of a sudden we start to see a bit more positivity from all of these outlets? Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't know. Certainly, CNN is not trying to impress Elon or Tesla to win Tesla's advertising dollars, because CNN is still not really positive about Tesla. And this is quite interesting. Facebook, or Meta specifically, is releasing a Twitter competitor. Why now? If you were going to do it, why didn't you already do it like years ago? Seems like a lot of people are now talking about Tesla's boss. Even Gary's talking about it too, and he's not saying anything negative about it, which to a certain degree, that is a surprise. Nothing positive really, other than saying that maybe Tesla is a better AI play than Nvidia, for example, because Tesla is selling at a cheaper price right now than Nvidia based on their price to earnings ratios. There is some good reason to believe that the broader markets are going to get worse. For example, the Treasury Secretary Yellen tells bank CEOs that more bank mergers may be necessary. This is especially important for the auto industry, because if banks are not feeling great, then they are not really going to care that much about giving out loans to people that want to buy cars, therefore slowing down the demand for vehicles. Nissan is going to release a successor to the Nissan Leaf. Most likely, this is going to be the outcome. But there's one big difference. That guy is fine. Nissan, well, we'll see. So Nissan is at least trying, while Toyota is trying to cut themselves away from making more EVs because they say, well, we don't need EVs. In this video, I talk more about Tesla starting to advertise. My name is Mal. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.